Voice will force you to think about your systems like you've never thought about them before. Will Hall of Rain Agency he's always talking about this systems thinking, and you should check out the VUX World podcast with Rain Agency, Will Hall and Jason Herndon, because they go quite deep into it. Essentially, to make voice a success, it needs to be part of or integrated with the rest of the systems that you have within your company. We'll probably do a whiteboard session on systems thinking at some point in time. But if you think about when the web first came around, you'd have a hotel website. You'd have a hotel website and it would just have a lot of pictures, pretty pictures of rooms and stuff like that. You would have to call them to book. The website was a veneer, it was a shop window. Same thing for restaurants. The restaurants would just have pictures of food and a menu, and then in order to book, you would have to ring them up. So the website was just essentially a veneer. It was something that was in the way of the actual transaction. And when I say transaction, I don't mean monetary transaction, I mean the exchange of information. And then what happened was, on the web, is that you were slowly but surely able to do stuff. You were able to buy stuff, you were able to book stuff, you were able to book a train, book that hotel room, book a restaurant reservation. But some restaurants didn't ever get to the point of letting you book online. Some you still have to phone up. And then mobile came along, and what mobile did is mobile forced companies to start creating APIs. So it forced people to start thinking about taking mobile data from a mobile device and putting it into a line of business system. And that makes sense, because if you can take data from someone and automate that into a line of business system and then kick off a process or automate a process, for example, if you can take out that phone call that makes somebody have to book the train ticket and you can do that in an automated way, then mobile becomes part of your core business, doesn't it? If you can get data from a mobile device into your line of business system and automate a transaction, then that becomes core to the business. The same thing is true of voice. Now, I know that there's a lot of brands experimenting with content, and there's a lot of people experimenting with engagement. That really is the veneer. That's the old website shop window in voice. The true potential for voice is to transform your business, essentially. So if you can integrate voice with your line of business systems, I mentioned Virgin Trains the other day, it's a really good example. Being able to use your voice to kick off that automated transaction within your line of business systems means that you're adding value to the business because you're streamlining and automating a lot more. You're adding value to a user because it saves far more time and it's far more convenient. And everybody wins, but you need to be thinking about that from a systems perspective. And that's going to be hard for people who have old incumbent suppliers and legacy systems who don't have APIs. The people who missed out on that mobile revolution and didn't create APIs, didn't integrate stuff into their line of business systems, are going to have more of a hard job to do. But that is where the real true value of voice will start to be realized, is when people don't treat it as an add-on and they start treating it as core to the business. If you treat it as an add-on, it will always be this kind of ancillary thing. It will always be a nightmare. It'll just be something else that you have to do. You won't maintain it. You won't dedicate the resources and budget towards it. You'll complain about it and say it doesn't work, and you'll either shut it down or you'll have it in kind of like maintenance mode, which isn't good for you, isn't good for the user. It isn't good for voice as an interface, as a modality, and this as an industry. So think about it from a systems perspective. Think about making voice part of your core business strategy, and start thinking about what data you have available, what APIs you have available, what your core transactions are, and how you can start integrating voice as part of that core suite of transactions that really move your business forward. And you're going to have a lot of work to do if you don't already have those APIs, or you do have, as I say, legacy systems or old incumbent suppliers that aren't interested in moving things forward. So a lot of decisions to be made potentially, but that's where I think the true value of voice is, making it core to what you do and not an add-on.